Hello everybody and welcome to this exciting episode here live at FAB, the Festival of Accounting Bookkeepers. We're on site, we've been doing podcasts all day to a live studio audience, it's been very exciting. And today, we've got our guest here, Bobby. But first of all, just tell people who you are, why you're here, and what you want to talk about.
My name's Bobby Garland. I am the brand leader for Rosemary Bookkeepers. I'm relatively new to the accounting industry, just a couple of years in, but lots of experience working with SMBs, with business growth and collaboration plans and things like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. And relatively new in this new role as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so my role at Rosemary Bookkeeping started in January, and it's a franchise network, and I'm the brand leader, so I help support the whole network to take it in the direction that I think's really going to benefit the whole accounting community.
Awesome. And I think we've got a lot of topics to cover today, but brand is definitely one I want to talk about because as accountants, I'm not sure we get it. So we'll be picking your brains, that way.
Brilliant.
We're going to treat this episode as very much like every other Pitstop podcast we do, just not calling it a Pitstop podcast. We've got a few questions to ask that we ask everyone, and you're going to be grilled on the chair like everyone else has been grilled before. So in fact, don't look at the questions. You know what I mean?
No prep time.
Well, if you'd watched any Pitstop podcast ever we've done, they're the exact same question.
Okay.
So obviously you prepped. Yeah, because you're a keen fan, right? You've watched...
Well, I tell you what, true story. When I first was, I previously worked at QuickBooks, and before I started there, some of my preparation to come into the accounting industry and focus on it as an industry completely, one of the things that I've done, and I totally remember this now, I was in the gym listening to RC Accounting podcast. Somebody was like, I was like, well, what can I listen to? And somebody recommended that. So when I first met you, I was like, you get this weird familiarity, don't you? Like you already know someone. I definitely had that. So
Love that story. That brand there of RC Accounting is one of the ones I want to pick your brains on in this podcast. Right.
Cool.
And at the end, we're going to play a game. We've never done this before live on a podcast. So you're going to be our guinea pig for this one. But we're excited about it.
Full disclosure. Again, you guys got to remember, I'm relatively new to the accounting industry. So fully expect to fail.
No, you can never fail. You're going to get a score, and then we're going to decide whereabouts on that.
Let's get ready for it to be off camera so low.
Brilliant. So again, this is the first time you're watching, make sure you like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And if you want more information about Fab, you're already in the right place. So Bobby, first and foremost, while we're talking about Fab, what's your first impression of this event?
My favourite thing about it is it's nice and relaxed. It's not manic. You go to something like a Cantex and it's like madness. It's so chaotic. As what I love about Fab is it starts at 10. Everybody's got time to get a coffee and pastry, nice and relaxed. And I feel like that gives better quality conversations because people are just a bit more chilled out. And that's my favourite thing about this event. It was like it last year. It's just it's bigger this year, but still as relaxed. And I'm really glad they kept that vibe. I love that. I think it's good.
And you got a bit of a unique perspective for this because you're kind of deciding where to maybe have a stand next year, that sort of stuff, and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. So, what key things are you looking out for? What is it? What's that bit that decides for you? That's the event that I'm going to put my eggs into the basket.
I think, and I've done a lot of accounting events in the last couple of years, and I think for me, it's that quality of conversation, just having the time and space to chat to people.
Yeah.
And it isn't like this massive swag fest. And swag's important, but just being able to have that time and space and just really be able to connect with people, because I think that's one thing that I've found with the accounting industry. There's so many people who know each other. There's lots of moving around, and I feel that helps build really good relationships. So yeah, for me, that would be the most important thing. For sure.
I love that. And hopefully by the end of this season, you'll know exactly where to go. I assume, is it next season you're looking to do first one?
Yeah, hopefully. I'd really like to have some presence somewhere, but I've definitely been chatting to the guys, the organisers here yesterday about a few options. Nice. So watch this space, we'll see.
Great. And then hopefully we get to get you on the grid walk. So
that's
the exciting thing.
That's
for
what
us.
I want. That'd be cool.
All right. So what are you most looking forward to about Fab? I mean, it's day 2 now. Kind of got a vibe of it. But what are you looking forward from day 2?
Definitely want to spend a bit more time on the HMRC stand. I think when we're looking at things like making tax digital coming into fruition, I feel like everybody's kind of got over this paranoia of will it, won't it kind of thing. We're in the home run now. They're sending letters out. It's, I feel like we're locked in. So I do think it's their time to shine. Some of their speakers, I've got to be honest, have stood up and have been really, really good, really engaging. Greg's been fantastic as well. And I feel like they've brought their A game this year. They've been much better. I saw them at Engager Labs as well, and they're really good there. And I just think their presence is better than it has been at previous shows where we know it's been tricky for them, right?
Yeah, there's no hiding for them, is it, at this point? And I think they've understood the thing that we don't need them to hide. We just need them to be there present.
Yeah.
Like I said, isn't it?
And I think you've got to give them their dues. They have stepped up a bit.
100%.
And hopefully they'll continue to do that over the next 12 months as they launch into MTD Fit, MTD ITSA.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're calling it today.
Whatever you want to call it. Exactly. All right. You say you're relatively new to this industry, but you've been to events before many a time, I assume, in your previous role, right?
Yep, totally.
Yeah. So an event like this, we're giving up our time, money, the cost of getting here, the hotels, all that sort of stuff. How do you make sure from any type of event that you take action from it? What are your key tips?
So step one's definitely to learn something. So I always have a look at the speakers and I pick out like a non-negotiable, like I'm going to go and see that one and sit down and listen to them.
Even though the podcast time changes all the
yeah.
time.
And look, I'm not
You've got to be on
pointing
an hour's
fingers.
notice.
The one I was going to go and see is right now. But, I prioritise you, Aaron, every time. So I think that's really important, learning something. And then when I'm sitting there listening, and I've done this at a previous event a couple of weeks ago, I'll have like my phone app with the notes, and I'll write something down, like just one thing to do the next day. Whatever that is, whether that's rolling something out to my network of bookkeepers, or whether that's going and having a demo, booking in something. I've booked in 3 demos actually yesterday just from walking around, and that's something else I brought because I think you can chat to these guys and you got new players in the game like Mimo. I was talking to them and I was just like, John, I'm just going to book a demo in. It's great chatting to you here, but actually sitting down, having dedicated time. And I think if you do it while you're here, you'll commit to it. My meeting with them is next week, and I'll definitely attend that, and I'll get something from it. And it's only because I've booked it today, and I'm sometimes not as... I haven't done that before, and I feel like I should. So I've booked 3 in. My diary next week's jammed with just demos. I think that's how you're going to get something out of these things, committing to something later date.
Yeah. So because you're in a unique position, right? You're looking after, how many bookkeepers is it?
20 different Rosemary bookkeepers across the UK.
Yeah. So you're in a unique position where you've got 20 different, and that's growing, right? You've got X amount of different pain points to solve. Yeah. So you're at this event with multiple different hats on in terms of need this pain point. What are your key pain points you're looking to fix at this point in time? Yeah,
so one of the things that I think I'm really passionate about with the Rosemary Bookkeeping Network is flexibility. Yeah. Because, if we get new franchise partners in or existing franchise partners, they're all in different places, right? You've got some who are just one-man operations and have been going for a year. You've got others who have been going for 15 years and have got employees and a couple of offices. Yeah. So sometimes there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Yeah. And for me, if we're rolling something out across the network, I've got to make sure that it's fit for purpose for everybody, right? So I really love something that's scalable, something that, can be relatively inexpensive to start with, but is happy to grow. And those sorts of solutions for me are ones that I keep an eye out for because they'll be beneficial to everybody. And that's ultimately one of the priorities of my job, like, servicing and supporting everybody in the network equally.
And keeping that eye out for what's there. Because we're in a privileged position of just having one practice of, we can have, for category A, we can have one solution. Category B, AML and onboarding and all that. And like you just said there, I completely understand that whole idea of you want to be flexible, you want to make sure it's right for purpose. But how do you keep on top of that? What's your pro tips? Because a tech stack, when it's just one for each category, is hard work. Yeah. So trying to keep it on top of all of them. What's your secret there?
So, I've sat in a lot of demos the last couple of weeks. Starting in the role in January, that's something that I've really prioritised because for me, and, when I worked at QuickBooks and worked with accountants on software, and even prior to that, working in marketing and business development roles, one of the things that I was always keen on is to be a functional expert. So, when it came to QuickBooks, I can use QuickBooks. I'm not a bookkeeper. I've got no qualifications around that, and I'm, cards on the table, but I could use QuickBooks, and I know how to use it. And I felt that was really important when I was working with my accountants then. And this is no different working with my Rosemary bookkeepers. I'm not going to be able to deal with the bookkeeping, but it's important I understand how it works, what it does. We're looking at AML software as well at the moment. Yeah. So really getting under the skin of that. And I love it because I love learning about new stuff, new tech, new everything, really. Yeah. Like, I just sort of...
problem solving, isn't it?
Yeah. I just think you just get far more out of it. Just immerse yourself into it. Sometimes I can go down a little bit of a black hole, down the rabbit hole of all sorts of stuff. But for me, that functional learning is key. I don't want to just be someone who's talking about it. I want to be able to pick it up and show somebody. You know, my aim is that all of, you know, my bookkeepers, for example, would 100% be able to use it a million times better than me. But at the starting point, I can explain it to them and I can show them. So for me, that's really important. Even though I'm not a bookkeeper, functional expert to a degree. Don't trust me to do your books though, but...
but credit to you though, one, because we've worked in the past, right? We've done videos together and product demos and all that sort of together.
Yeah.
One thing I definitely admired about you is you get your hands dirty, you get involved in the product, right?
Yeah.
You kick the tires. You were the first one to say, I can't remember what product we were looking at, but this doesn't do this.
Yeah.
Have I missed something here? Because you were questioning, am I the problem or is the software? You know what I mean? And I think that's something that in your role, really, really important. So, you know.
I do get a bit passionate because I see something and it doesn't quite do what I want it to do. And I'm like, well, why doesn't it do that? And should it? And then you sort of go round in circles. And then you've got to think about everybody in so many different positions. But for me, just like immersing in it, it's the only way you'd uncover those issues. And I think sometimes, you know, credit to software companies and all of them, it's a challenge, right? Because they're not bookkeepers either. So some of the best innovations in these software comes from people in the industry, bookkeepers and accountants who are using it. And you can definitely see some of the softwares that have been created by accountants and bookkeepers. They do shine out. There's a reason for that because they're using it day to day. And I think like leveraging that information, whatever software company you are, is essential to success. And leveraging the experience of people who are going to use it day to day to day.
That's it.
You know,
we all love the big shinies, the big new feature releases. Apron, we were talking off air, weren't we? Apron releasing the new
card.
Love that, and that's an amazing thing and something to celebrate. But actually, some of the best work they've done lately is just those little tiny changes, those workflow changes that have just game changer for the people who are using it and rely on it day to day, right?
The amount of times I've had a bookkeeper or an accountant come up to me and they're like, oh my God, do you know what my favorite feature is? And they say it and I'm like, what? What are you? I didn't even... Does it do that? Show me. And because I think sometimes we miss that, especially those of us that aren't bookkeepers or accountants, and we don't, you know, it's important for us to really listen to that sort of feedback so we know what the priorities are. Otherwise, how else are we going to learn? But the amount of times that happens, all the time. I love it, though, because you learn something new, right? And then I go and tell someone. The best bit is then an accountant or bookkeeper tells me that, and then I go find another accountant bookkeeper. I go, I tell you what, have you seen this? And they're like, no. Oh, my God, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, I found that.
That was me. So... obviously, you're passionate about this industry. We can tell that. We can tell by everything you've said here. What do you love most about this industry?
And I've said this to you before, and I've said it a million times. I've worked in lots of industries. When I've done marketing, I worked with lots of SMBs across all different industry verticals. Now I just work within the accounting industry. The one thing that I notice is that it's so collaborative, like everybody just gets on. And I think that's because, you know, it's such a necessary service that, you know, there's obviously competition. But accountants are far more likely to sit down and help each other than ignore each other. Like if one's got a problem, and I've seen it, I saw it outside when we were queuing to get in, and there was one accountant and they just came and sat down. They never knew, and they were like, oh, were you here yesterday chatting to another accountant next to it? And then they're talking about year end and they're talking about how busy they were in January. And then one's telling the other, like, oh, I done this, you should think about that. And I just think that's brilliant. For me, you know, like collaboration and partnership in all of my career are like really big priorities for me. I think that's, you know, I read it the other day, but you must have heard this one. You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I love that. I think for me, that is... you know, that's really ingrained in me as a person, and I see that all the time in this industry, above other industries, and I've worked in a lot of others, and I love that. That's for me.
And you made the choice to stay in this industry, right? Like, you know, there was a chance where you could have left the industry, and you decided this is the industry you want to stay. So that must say something, right? Yeah,
definitely. And I think I've been dedicated to this industry for, in my eyes, a relatively short period of time, 2 or 3 years now, but I've made so many connections and friends and things like that. And, you know, even just coming here today and I was at Gager Labs and QuickBooks Connect and stuff like that, I was a bit, you know, changing companies but staying in the industry. But the amount of people I see who stop me and say hello, and I see, and I really love that, like still keeping those connections going.
So that's what you love about the industry. What would you change about the industry?
That's a tough one. What would I change about it? I think pace.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
pace.
100%.
And the other thing is, I do think that accountants and bookkeepers, rightly so, are relatively risk averse.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair to say, and that's not like a detriment to any of them. But they should be. You know, I'd want my accountant to be risk averse. You know, like
Exactly.
I'd want that to be a trait. But I think sometimes when it comes to things like making tax digital for income tax coming in and new softwares and efficiencies and things like that, it can be that sort of, you know, erring on the side of caution. And I'm not saying like throw the baby out with the bathwater or anything like that. I think, you know, if we had more risk takers, just to give it a go and see it through. Yeah. But it's their business, right? So I get it. You know, there's so many accountants that, you know, are self-made, their own practices that I deal with because of the size.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's their bread and butter. So I understand why they don't, but it's just kind of that little, just dip your toe in and let's have a look together. And, and that's where I try. And, you know, my time at QuickBooks and the same with Rosemary working with my franchise partners, it's like, well, let's do it together, and I want to be super supportive so it isn't just going to blow up in people's faces. Nobody wants that.
No,
but it's just try those little things, like just try something new. That's the one bit of advice.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, and it's that disruptive mentality, isn't it? Sometimes we feel like, you know, oh, we shouldn't disrupt, but actually that little bit of disruption will just help the whole industry, won't it?
Absolutely, and it doesn't need to be like change everything.
Little tiny steps.
100%, and it's that one bit. If you made like a 1% change every day, like that amasses up. It's tiny steps. So yes, that would be the thing that I think. But I think that's coming.
You
know, even in the few years I've worked directly in the industry, I think you definitely see a change in that, and I think it is testament to guys like you who like lead from the front with that. And you know, you are seeing more people putting themselves out there, more people doing podcasts and talking and things like that.
Sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's happening. Yeah. But again, I suppose just like what we said, like a little bit at a time. I like when it moves quick, but you know, it is happening, which is nice to see. I love seeing that.
Love that.
It's good.
So if we got you a time machine and we were able to take you back 12 months.
12 months.
Think about something that you're using today. It could be an app, it could be a piece of software, it could be a gadget, it could be any piece of technology, basically.
Yeah.
What piece of technology would you love to take back 12 months to say to your 12 months out, you should be using this now?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Without question.
Yeah.
I have totally doubled down on things like that in the last couple of months, and it's transformed my life. And I'll tell you a story. Not even just to do with work. You know, I don't know if you get this, but me and my wife, like, we've got 2 kids, and deciding what for dinner is like the worst thing ever. And I took over the shopping for a bit, and I do a lot of the cooking at home. And then my wife was like, oh, we need to change up what we're having and stuff like that. And we're kind of like back and forth, what we're going to do. So we're sitting there watching telly, I had my laptop out, and I just went to ChatGPT, and I was literally like, can you create a meal plan for me for 4 weeks? We've got 2 kids, we want this, we want that, we want these ingredients. And I typed it all in, and then I just turned my laptop around, and there you go. Babe, I've done it. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, there's the meal plan. And also it's got a shopping list on the bottom, so we can just add it to the shop. Brilliant. And it was just fantastic. And she was like, have you done that? And I'm like, oh, this. And it was like, that was the turning point for me a couple of months ago. And now, anything and everything. I think it's such a useful assistant.
Exactly.
It's not replacing anything.
It's a brainstorming tool, isn't it?
I love, like I said earlier, collaboration, and some of my best ideas come when I'm chatting to someone and it evolves in a conversation. But I work remotely, right? And the franchise partners I deal with are all over the UK. So I'm not necessarily with someone every day. I don't work in an office. So ChatGPT really helpful. Like when I'm trying to do this brainstorming, I'll be like, what do you think about that? And then I kind of do check myself because it's a little bit weird, right? My best friend is this, this AI. But yeah, I get a lot of, you know, creative thoughts from it. And I think that's what I like, just bouncing ideas off of stuff.
Love it.
And it is a little bit frightening when they come up with ideas and I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos we've done on the training.
Yeah.
But now it's evolved to watching your screen and being contextualized to your screen. So you're thinking about from a training point of view, it's you have that app on the screen, it's telling you, if I need to reconcile this, or I need to do this, or I need to add this transaction, it can go, oh, just go up here, click that, see this box here, make sure you put it in there. No, I wouldn't use that data. And it's watching you do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Giving that constant feedback. It is very, very, very scary. very, very good.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Don't think about it too much. Because it's a slippery slope.
We've gone back 12 months.
Yep.
Let's go forward 12 months. You pretty much answered the question anyway.
Yeah.
But how do you think AI is going to impact this industry? What's your thoughts on it? I think we're definitely over the fact that it's a fad. I think that's been clarified that this is not a fad. But what do you think is going to happen?
I think the more it's integrated with things that people are using day to day, and look, you know, people are like, oh, I'm not sure about AI. And when you actually have a chat to them, they're using AI every day. They just don't know it. And I think the more and more it's integrated, the more it will get used. And, you know, Intuit Assist is a great example of that. And, you know, you've got Jax with Zero and just things like that in the accounting world. Once they're properly there, then I think that will just sort of, you know, that'll accelerate everything. And I think it's the same, you know, with your iPhone, right? Like I use Siri loads of the time, and I've got an Amazon Alexa, and the more you utilize it, the more useful it becomes. Yeah. So I do think the more it's there with things like accounting software or any software, it will just. I am slightly not worried, excited, and slightly terrified of where all this will be in like 2 years. Yeah. Like, you know, you think about a year and how quick that goes, but just go back a year and look at it. So it's exciting times. And I think, you know, using it the right way, it's in addition to your brain. It's not instead of your brain.
Well, that's where we add value as bookkeepers and accountants, right? We are check whatever the AI is churned out. That's what we add value. Is it correct? Is it not correct? Do we need to adjust it? Do we not need to adjust it? And I think that's where we've got to keep reminding ourselves that we're still going to have a job, because we're still going to check the work and evaluate the work and, you know, give some context to the work, right?
The other thing that I think is massive about the accounting industry, and I've said this loads of time, and I think a lot of industries, but definitely this industry isn't about numbers, it's about people.
Oh yeah,
100%. And it's a people industry.
Exactly.
And nothing's going to change that. So
we're just going to make the numbers easier.
Yeah, totally. So if you could spend more time with people and less time, you know, AI is doing some of these monotonous stuff for you, then brilliant. And then it gives you time to have that coffee with your client that you couldn't before, or go out to that networking event and meet new clients and all of that sort of stuff, because that's the stuff you want to do. I mean, I don't know about you, I love spending time with people. And for me, like, the more of that I can do, the better.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. All right, we're going to play a game now. So the idea of this game is really, really straightforward. Right. We're going to give you an opportunity to beat the clock. Right. You're only allowed to ask questions that are yes and no. And we've got 5 of our magical top trump cards here. Right. And you don't know what's on this card. You're allowed to ask it. And at any point, you can say pass. Right. But a pass will add 1 minute to your time. Oh. So the less passes you have, the better chance.
What if I passed all 5? Now that's a 5-minute time. Where does that put me on the leaderboard?
You'll still be towards the bottom. We've had some minute 5s. We thought that one through. Right. Are you ready, sir?
Not in the slightest, but let's go.
You're gonna smash this one. You're gonna smash this one. Okay. All right. We'll try with an easy one first for you. Right. In 3, 2, 1. Remember, yes or no questions.
Okay. Does this top trump have a colour associated to it?
Yeah, it does actually, yeah.
Okay. Is it a person?
It is, yeah.
Is it a man?
It is.
Okay. Is it you?
It is. Well done. So you got the first one right. Awesome. Hurrah. Next one.
Is this a person?
No.
Is this a brand?
It is.
Is it Zero?
No.
Oh, it's only because I can see Zero over there. Is it a software brand?
It is.
Is it a new one or one that's been around?
Relatively. No,
that's yes. Yeah. Is it a new brand?
It's newish.
Newish. Okay. Does this have a colour associated?
It certainly does.
Is it blue?
No.
Is it green?
No.
Is it Apron?
No.
Oh. Is it a payment software?
No.
Is it a practice management software?
It is.
Oh God. Is it Engager?
It is. Technically Engager Labs, but we give you that one. Ooh, tricky one.
That's relatively new, Engager Labs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is this a person?
It is.
Is it a woman?
No.
Is it somebody that's very active on social media?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are they here today? Are they speaking at this event?
No.
They're not. Oh, that's kind of just got rid of a load of people. Do they have a colour brand?
They do actually, yeah.
Is it yellow?
No.
Is it blue?
No.
Oh, I'm not getting it. I think I'm going to pass on that one.
Pass on that one. It was red and it was Sam.
Ugh.
This one you will definitely know. Oh, no,
no, I haven't looked. I haven't looked.
Go on.
So it's a person?
It's a person.
I'll definitely know. I know them personally then. Oh, okay. Are they here today?
No.
They aren't. Is it somebody? Is it Steve Reynard?
No.
I
Good shout,
I saw his card when I was looking through them. Do they work at QuickBooks, though?
They do.
Is it JV?
It is. Well done.
I saw him. I did have a sneaky look through the top drums before we started. I didn't realise JV had a card. Is it a person?
It certainly is.
Are they here today?
They are.
That's a good one. Have they done a talk?
No. Yesterday.
They done a talk yesterday. Are they a man?
They are.
Do they work for a software company?
No.
No. Not a software company. I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass.
Who is it?
Tim.
So
well done. 2 minutes 55 with that's 4 minutes 55. We can't quite remember what the scores are, but we'll make sure we pop it up
I'm not holding my breath to top
There'll
this
be a live table just about here coming through. But well done.
Brilliant.
Awesome. So this is your opportunity. You've got that camera.
Yeah.
Plug and plug away, and tell the people where they can find you and what you're all about. Go for it.
Yeah. So Rosemary Bookkeeping is a franchise network. I'm the brand leader of it. What I'm really looking to do with the brand is develop it so that we can partner with accountants. MTD for it's coming. Accountants are going to need help. And I honestly believe bookkeepers are the answer. Amy Copeland talked about it, Engage Lab, she talked about it today. And I do think that collaboration is key. They're not in competition with each other. So I'm really looking for accountants who are looking for help that the Rosemary Bookkeeping Network can help with. And we're across the whole country. I personally look after them all and know them all personally as well. So for me, I'm really excited about that. And hopefully working with some people I already know and maybe some new people as well would be great. That's Rosemary Bookkeeping. I'm really excited to be part of the network. And I love it. That's what I'm looking for. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think at some point we're going to have a proper, let's go deep into it. So you get your top trump. Let's go into a Call Friends episode or Call Location episode, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed today. There's been a little sneak peek of what we got for getting to know you a little bit more. So it's been great. Thank you for coming on.
Really appreciate
it, and really enjoy the rest of it. But if you guys want any more content around the world of FAB or anything to do with VAT accountant, you're already in the right place. So make sure you like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. We'll make sure we get the content that you need going forward. We've got some cracking guests on here this very couch today. Day 2 of FAB at the FAB studio. We're going to be showcasing Grace Hardy. We've got Joe and Zoe as well. So we've got some great content. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But again, thank you so much, Bobby.
Thank you
for this, and enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers all.
Thanks, everyone.